Hey, one awesome community. It's episode 342, and it's You've Got the Power with Kindness today. Now, actually, I was going to do a podcast on this series today that was called Laughter. And here's a laugh for you today. To start out, because we're changing the subject, but here's my laugh for the day. It's always a good thing to press video when you're recording a video. It seems I had pressed photo. And I'm just talking away, and then my light goes out. I'm like, why did my light go out? Well, after a few minutes of Photoshop, the photo just quits, and there I am. I didn't even press video. So lesson learned, press video first. There's my laugh for the day. Anyway, the reason I changed the subject up, I always like to make people laugh. I think there's a lot of power in that. But sometimes we get redirected because of things that cross our paths. And so that's what happened for me. We get the Sunday paper. That's the only paper we get. And we get it because my husband loves to clip out coupons and send it to his daughter in Seattle. So I glance through it and pick out things that are of importance to me. And yesterday there was a running theme. We shall do this again. There was a running theme through the paper. Actually, 2 articles, but that's a theme for me, right? So I want to share this with you because kindness is something can be so simple. It doesn't have to be a big, profound act. It can be something as simple as, standing in the grocery line and you've got tons of stuff in your cart and this person walks up and they got 1 item. Are you the kind of person that steps back and says, you can go ahead? I love being that person because I get so much satisfaction of it. That's a kind act. And in this world of ours today, I think everybody is craving an act of kindness. You're driving along and you got stopped at a stoplight, but you're far enough back, you can stop and let this person out. And you know what happens? For me anyway, the other lane will stop. So together, it's a ricochet. We have formed kindness together. It's amazing how these little things can add up. You take a simple step towards that. It doesn't have to be a dozen red roses delivered to somebody. It can be simple as this. One of our longtime social writers in our local paper wrote this yesterday. Next time, try a handwritten note instead of a text. So that's what I'm going to challenge you to do. It's easy to text. We all do it. And for those of you who don't, good job. We don't have to. We pick up the phone. We send a piece of mail. But the majority of us, I believe, are texters. We get a message. Now, I shortcut it. I have a friend that I Marco to her because it's like, oh my goodness, I have so much to say that I have to do a video with her. My granddaughter just sent me the coolest little text message from my great-grandbaby who's just 2 years old, and it was like, I love you, Grandma. I mean, I can't repeat it exactly how she did it, but let me tell you, it warmed my heart. So yes, text messages can reach out and touch people, but you know what? If somebody gets that note, that card, that gift from you in the mail, wow. That is such a big act of kindness and caring and showing that you do. That is a lost art. When I was growing up, I had the worst allergies. I was the only kid that was in a classroom and sneezing and blowing my nose constantly. And I'm not a gentle nose blower. I mean, I blow it out, right? And so my handkerchief would be soaking wet, but I would wake up with this. And when my nose wasn't running or I wasn't sneezing, it was so plugged up, I could barely breathe. And we didn't go to doctors a lot back then. So I didn't get to an allergist till I was 16 years old. So all those years, I lived with being a constant nose blower, and my grandmother would send me cards all the time. And in that card was always an embroidered handkerchief for me. I went off to college. I'd get cards. My kids group came along. They got cards. And one of my colleagues said, you know, her grandmother said, it's always a good time. Any time is a good time to send a card. And that's my belief. You know me as a Hey Card Lady, and that's my business. This is funded by my Mailbox Power business, heycardlady.com. And so that's been my posture for years. Before I ever got in the business, I understood the power of reaching out and saying, I care about you. So whether you use my system, you go to the Dollar Tree, or you go to Hallmark, I challenge you today to make a handwritten note. And it doesn't have to be in a card. It can be on a piece of paper, stuck in an envelope and addressed and mailed. But you got to do it. That's an act of kindness. Because when you send that, somebody knows you took the time. So it doesn't have to be a long, elaborate message. Just say, I'm thinking of you. I love you. For example, somebody lives clear across the country, and you text them, and you show them you care by being in touch with them. But imagine, just imagine, suddenly out of nowhere, when they're going through that huge pile of junk mail, which we all get right now, there's that one envelope in there, personally addressed to them from you. You have just made their day. But what's more powerful? When you're writing that and you're putting your heart into that envelope, guess what happens to you? You just feel ecstatic because you are so excited when you write it and you pick that card out, that whatever, but now you are sitting in anticipation for them to get that. It's amazing what it does for both of us, for both of you. Imagine sitting in a nursing home visiting an elderly parent or aunt or uncle or friend, and you notice the person over here doesn't have anybody visiting them. Why not send them a card? Kindness. Simple, simple things. For example, my husband and I went to dinner at a brand new restaurant. And we get there, didn't think to call for reservations because in this town, it used to be something that the restaurants did. Well, they're now doing them. And we didn't know that. So they said they had 2 seats at the bar. My husband and I rarely do that. We like to sit in a booth. They had a rehearsal dinner party there. So that's all they had. So it was later. I was hungry and I love to people watch. So sure. So we sat down. We ordered. And the maitre d' came over and asked, would we mind scooting down 1 seat because they had a party of 4 that he could put right in there. No problem. We did that. They went crazy thanking us. It was just an act of kindness. It's who you become when you act kind. You will find more ways to be kind. Here's the other way we did it that night. After we were sitting, they brought in a stool and sat this gentleman down that was an elderly type, and he seemed, as we got into a conversation, started sharing things, it seemed like he was widowed. He spent most of his meals there. And so we struck up a great conversation about what was the best, and then we got one of the new desserts. He liked the idea of that, so he got that to go. It was kind. You know, we could have just stayed focused on each other and chit-chatted, but we turned and we talked and engaged in this wonderful conversation. It was so fun. And my husband and I talked about it on the way home. Wasn't that cool talking to that guy? There was another guy that sat next to us, explained to us what Sunday gravy was on lasagna. What the heck is Sunday gravy? Now, here's a fact I did not know. I love sharing facts. Sunday gravy is the red sauce that the Italians put on their pasta. Now, I was in Italy. I never heard this. But evidently, traditionally, Italian women get up and start their spaghetti sauces or pasta sauces in the morning on a Sunday. Sunday gravy. So that gentleman gave us an education on that. So you open your world up when you're kind. And then you expand other people's worlds. So here's another article that was in the paper yesterday that made me change the topic today. This is by a judge. Key to saving our nation is for us to love our neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? Are you kind to your neighbors? You know, we have kids across the street that were like grandparents to their little ones. It is such a joy, like when they got home yesterday, little Maddox comes running over to me, Grandma Gail, grabs my hand and starts telling me all about having played basketball with his daddy on a great big court. Then the little sister comes running over and we have this great conversation. And the kindness extends not to just enjoying their company, but my husband will lend them our leaf blower so they don't have to go get one themselves. Stuart will be grilling outside. Say, hey, you guys want hamburgers tonight? And he'll share that. Kindness. Really, that's what we need in this world today. Clear across every nation, everywhere, not just our nation. We need to take a moment to share kindness, a kind word, kind expression. And one more. This is in a magazine that I'm a member of, and I'm going to say it quietly, AARP. Shh. Anyway, the article says, pen, paper, and sympathies. In these emotional times, the simple act of writing a note means so much. You know, I sent a sympathy card to a friend of mine. I knew she was hurting super bad. I know, I've been there. And I watched her let us know updates on her niece on Facebook, and it just broke my heart. So I sent her a card of sympathy, just telling her I knew how horrible it was. You don't even have to put those words. Just get a sympathy card and send it. And I had somebody tell me one day when my card, I felt bad because it was so late. She says, no, you don't understand. A late sympathy card is better than no sympathy card, because she says after the initial shock of things and you've received all these sympathy cards, you go through it, and I've been through this, you go through that time frame where nobody's talking. It's crickets. Not that we've forgotten, but maybe we think it's too late to send that card. It is never too late to send a card. Whether it be a sympathy card, a birthday card, I miss you card, it's never too late to reach out and touch someone in kindness. So I'm trying to keep this short, but you know me, I love to talk. So with that said, please, please, please go out and pass on a smile today. Put it in a card, in a letter, in a note. Just do it. It'll make a difference in someone's life. It will make a difference in our world for everyone. And I thank you in advance for doing that. And I thank you for listening. And if you want to know more about how I do the cards, you can go to heycardlady.com. Bye-bye.